Welcome back to Collective Perspective, episode 26. As you can see, we're going to be doing a little screen sharing today. We're going to go through the CGC reference guide, which is, I don't know, relatively new, maybe 6 months old or less. It came out in 2022, same time that CGC started to grade video games, if you are out of the loop. Yeah, this is not like a plug for CGC or anything. This is definitely a plug for this reference guide, though.
Yes.
We are big fans of it. We'll talk all about our thoughts and everything as we are going through it. But variant collectors, and I mean any collectors, honestly, this is a really cool guide, and we're excited to share it with you. We're going to be covering Nintendo consoles this episode, and I think in March we will cover another section of this reference guide. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to flip to page number 4 here. We have the table of contents, just really nicely laid out. Unfortunately, it's not one of those interactive PDFs where I can just click Sega CD, but that is the most minor inconvenience for sure. You've got a nice little welcome page with a pristine 9.4 Zelda here, and then you get to page 8 and you've got these key terms, and I want to cover a couple of them really quickly here. So you'll see traditional rarity is what we're going to be looking at today. A game that has long been considered rare or is desired by video game collectors. So keep that definition in your mind as we go through this. And then the other one is key titles. A game that had a significant impact on the console or gaming community. So I'm talking about key titles a lot. I honestly, I probably mentioned like wanting to own important titles literally every episode. But
yes. I like that they clarify traditional rarity and say or desired by video game collectors, because of course a lot of people will argue about what's actually rare and what's not. And most games that are considered rare follow under or is desired by video game collectors. So I like that they made that clarification as well.
Yeah, and we are those people that that definitely roast people for saying rare when things aren't rare. So it's good point there, Craig.
But we're kind of the bad guys in some way, because
Yeah.
the majority falls under the or is desired by game collectors people. We're the ones that are like, oh, there's more than 500 copies?
Get that
Nothing.
common trash out of here.
Exactly. So we're definitely stricter about that definition than most, but I like that clarification because for a general audience, I think that's a better way to put it when you're talking about a rare game.
So yeah, let's get into it. We're gonna start here with NES. You've got a nice little foreground for all of these, and these pictures are beautiful. I love it. But you've got your
Yes, I love
historical
them.
background. You guys can read through that at your own pace. But let's talk about key titles. Obviously, you're gonna have literally every Nintendo platform, like every Nintendo game that literally started and got a million sequels. Up until 2023, and you've got your Castlevanias, you've got your Contras on here. You've got actually just one Contra. You've got your Tetris, Zelda 1 and 2. Every single Mega Man is a key title. I love that.
Which I think that's debatable, but
Dr. Mario, kind of debatable. I mean, this is a console with over 600 titles on it, 700 depending who you ask. But it's very difficult to narrow down to key titles for something like this. I do see Metroid on here. You don't see things like Kid Icarus. Kid Icarus is a black box game, and it's important, sure. It's a Nintendo IP, sure, but it's not necessarily Mega Man. It's not, it's very hard to narrow it down to like 30
because not
games.
only is it not a key title, but the original Kid Icarus sucks.
Mike Tyson's Punch Out here. I mean, it's hard
Definitely.
to dispute this list here. Anything you see missing right off the bat?
See, I'm trying to look, and I thought the only one I think that's weird is missing is Dragon Warrior. I feel like that's a pretty a staple to the NES. Pretty much started the JRPG genre, and it was famously given away a lot in Nintendo Power back in the day. So a lot of people had it, whether they are into that genre of game or not, just because it was a game that you could essentially get for free. So I'm kind of surprised that Dragon Warrior isn't on there. But other than that, I'd say that's a pretty good list of key titles.
That's a very good point. That's like that game is still practically free. It's so common.
Oh my gosh, yes.
um, Final Fantasy on there. 3 Ninja Turtle
Yes.
games is probably a little debatable.
Yeah, all the Marios being on there is totally fair. Of course, Kirby's Adventure I think is fair. A much
How
better.
key is Dr. Mario though? I don't know about that one.
That's another one where I feel like I really think of that as more of a Game Boy game personally.
Mm.
And maybe I'm in the minority, but I think of that as more of a Game Boy game. So I think that was a dual release though. Didn't it come out both at the same time? Do you know by
Probably.
chance? Yeah. I also feel like maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong. You're a bigger fan of the series. I feel like having Dracula's Curse on there is kind of not super key either. I feel like most people think about the first 2 games when they think of the NES Castlevanias.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, I mean, just throwing it on there because it says Castlevania, a little excessive maybe. I could probably see Castlevania 2 also being removed.
hmm I feel like that game is like famously like unliked though by a lot of people. So, but yeah, pretty good list overall. I'm happy Final Fantasy there. And again, weird Final Fantasy, but not Dragon Warrior. But whatever, still pretty
Right.
good list.
We move down to the traditional rarity here. Bonk's Adventure, nothing. I mean, that's extremely obvious. Bubble Bobble Part 2. You got your Flintstones on here. I don't know what Dragon Fighter is.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if I've ever heard of that one.
Huh.
That is really weird. Now I'm gonna type it real quick.
We got
What is it
Stadium
called?
Events, to no one's surprise. Power Blade 2,
No.
I think that one has... that one's actually like a really good game, apparently. I haven't played it. What are you learning about Dragon Fighter?
That's so weird. How have I never heard of this? It looks like kind of just like your typical like fantasy kind of like side scroller action game, but I'm just shocked that of all of my years in this hobby, I've somehow never seen of or heard of that game. That is really weird. Interesting.
Little Samson is an obvious one. This is again extremely narrowed down, less than 15 titles here. You know, you could have Princess Tomato on there.
Yeah, but they got the Taito games that a lot of people know, so I feel like those are I feel like this guide is kind of meant for like, oh, so you want to get into game collecting. Here's the
Sure,
key
yeah.
title for each system, here's the rarity. And if you're going to talk about traditional rarity and the key titles, I think that the key titles pretty good. We both agreed on traditional rarity. I think this for the most part nails it. Like I said, Dragon Fighter is a weird one to me because I've somehow just totally missed that throughout my entire life. But the rest of them, I'd say, are all. When you think of rare NES games, those are probably all the ones that are going to come to mind.
Right. This picture actually of the 4 right between the 2 blurbs is pretty iconic. I mean, Bubble Bobble, Little Samson, Panic Restaurant, Flintstones. Those are
Yeah.
probably the big 4, excluding.
Those are the
Stadium
ones
Events.
that come to mind. Those are the ones that come to mind for me. So, especially Little Samson. Remember when Little Samson was like on a downtrend for a while, and now it's disgustingly more expensive than it's ever been. Good times. I could have gotten it for like $500 once. Big regrets.
I didn't know that was a Taito game.
Yes, it is. It is actually a very good game. No game is probably worth how much Little Samson is worth, but it is actually very fun. So,
Moving on to the next page, yeah, and we got our NWC blurb here. We got our hang tabs, circle versus oval, Reve, no Reve. So there's a ton of stuff that you have to be aware of if you're going into
Beautiful.
NES collecting. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
absolutely beautiful. I love that they have this.
I'm pretty sure that. So you've got your significant hang tab games and significant third-party hang tab games. That's super cool.
I do like that a lot.
I'm not
Nothing
like
better
I'm,
than Squoon with a hang tab.
I am far from an expert on Nintendo NES collecting. So I will probably be referencing this. We move on.
Me
We
too.
have.
I always want to get more into it. So.
Yeah. Zelda. So they just have this 2-page one here. There's known box variants. What do we have? 3, 6, 9, 10 of them. these are like, this is just an example. I'm sure they could do this entire 2-page thing for like every game on the NES, but
Oh yeah.
this is like a great start. You know, like honestly, just speaking on the behalf of CGC, like this is a really great, like, this makes you want to trust them when you're getting your games graded and stuff.
Yeah, it shows that they've done their research too.
Right. Moving on, we have Super Nintendo.
Your favorite console.
Yes, sir. So we got the historical background again. Obviously, we have. Let's just go in order. Key titles here: Chrono Trigger, indisputable. DKC. You know what? We were talking about 1, 2, and 3 for Castlevania. I think all the Donkey Kong countries can be key titles for sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair, honestly. And I feel like they're all, I don't know, they're all just so good. They're such good games.
Right.
They're like perfect. So
Earthbound. There we go.
let's go.
We got our Final Fantasies, our F-Zero. Definitely a launch title, despite not having that many sequels, especially today. F-Zero still big, important launch title. Harvest Moon, that's an interesting one. I guess it did spawn a lot of sequels, so it's worth mentioning.
Well, and I mean, you think about now, one of the biggest games in the world, Stardew Valley. Harvest Moon was what started that kind of genre. So
That's true. Harvest Moon could probably be a traditional rarity game, I feel like.
Oh yeah, well, Harvest Moon is. It's funny because it's always been floating next to Earthbound, right? In like terms of like pricing for like just loose cart and stuff. But Harvest Moon's always been way harder to find. That early Natsume stuff isn't that easy to find, especially.
Yeah. We got our one Kirby game that Craig hates on here.
I don't hate it. It's just the worst one.
We got our Zelda, Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, again, those are definitely traditional rarity games. At least X3.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, you gotta have it on here, even if the blood is green. Star Fox. Today is the 30th anniversary, social media tells me.
Oh, look at that.
Street Fighter, how could you live without it? We got Castlevania.
Well, it should be Super Street Fighter too, but
we have every Mario ever made.
Yeah.
Turtles in Time.
Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Interesting.
That is an interesting one. Anything missing,
I feel...
Greg?
Let me think. I'm trying to think of. I feel like there's an RPG that should be on here that isn't, but I can't think of one. Because they got Earthbound, Chrono Trigger,
Secret of
Final
Mana.
Fantasies. Yeah, honestly, Secret of Mana should probably be on here too. That's a pretty big one. For the most part, I'd say this is I think that this is a stronger key title list than they have for the NES one. Honestly, I would take off Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. I do not think of those as Super Nintendo games at all, personally.
That's true.
I think of those as either arcade or Genesis. I know obviously they're Super Nintendo games, but I don't associate them with Super at all. I feel like Zombies Ate My Neighbors is debatable. I feel like that's more of a known by YouTubers game, if that makes sense.
Right.
Opposed to like a game a lot of people care about. Maybe I'm wrong. Feel free to roast me in the comments. Also, I know you have one fan of your channel that really likes Kirby, so I'm sorry for trashing on Kirby's Dream Land 3 in advance. It's just not my favorite Kirby game. But for the most part, yeah, I'd say this is a good list. Yeah, I can't really think of anything missing besides, like you said, Secret of Mana. That was a good pull.
Secret of Mana, I'm trying to think. Oh, Illusion of Gaia could probably make the cut.
Ooh, I love Illusion of Gaia. I feel like that's maybe not key, but I really, really enjoy it.
I don't know how popular Zombies Ate My Neighbors was like in the mid 90s. I really have no idea.
We were not born yet.
Almost.
So.
Cool. Traditional rarity here. Aero Fighters has long been a sought-after title. The only other Castlevania, Dracula X. That makes sense. Let me think about this. There's a few games on here that for sure, like, when I started collecting like 7-8 years ago, these were definitely like well known. You got your Final Fight guy, Evo,
Mm-hmm. Hagane.
um, freaking Hagane, yeah. What else do we have? Pocket Rocky 2 is an obvious one. Mega Man 7, Metal Warriors,
Metal
yeah.
Warriors too.
Yeah, these are all good picks. Exertainment Mountain Bike Rally / Speed Racer. That one is, I mean, I don't know the history behind it. I don't know if it was like a retail release or whatever. Do you know about this one?
I don't. I just know that there's more sealed copies known to exist than non-sealed ones because nobody ever opens it, and I think that's really funny.
What? Are you thinking about the right one? I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
I'm happy that Earthbound isn't there. It makes me feel like they care.
Oh
It makes me happy
shoot.
that Earthbound isn't under rarity.
Dude, that could totally be there according to the
And you know what?
definition.
No, and I agree, but you know what? That tells me that they care. That Chrono Trigger and Earthbound are not under traditional rarity. That tells me that they care. So,
I hear people talk about Exertainment a lot. I just don't know the backstory behind it.
yeah, I know there's some history, but I don't know if anyone cares enough.
I don't know what Space Megaforce is.
Yeah, that one doesn't ring a bell to me either. Space Megaforce. Let's see. Space Megaforce. Super Nintendo.
Wild Guns with the Natsume
Oh,
representation.
I have seen this before. Okay, I have seen Space Megaforce.
Now I gotta
If
look
you
it up.
Google it, you'll recognize the artwork. So it actually looks pretty cool.
I've definitely seen it before. I would not have like said if I was at Goodwill, saw that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a rare
You
game."
pass it
No.
up.
Yeah, right.
You fool! Who goes to Goodwill and finds a Super Nintendo game and doesn't buy it just because it's there?
Who goes to Goodwill? And yeah, you're right. All right, cool. Let's turn the page here. Competition
All right.
cartridges. See, that's what I thought
Beautiful.
Exertainment was. I thought that was a competition cartridge of some sort.
Ooh,
Maybe-
they show the player's choice games. I
I'm
like that.
I'm pretty sure Exertainment is one of those. It's the game that came with like a bike accessory.
Yeah, there was an actual bike.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm glad I got that.
I have a friend who has the bike. So
Dang. Okay. Yeah, we got our competition cartridges. We have Player's Choice introduced on the Super Nintendo. There's a full list there for you. That's cool. We have USA revision codes in the bottom.
love to see it.
Production country is a big one here, especially Konami titles. You really want to avoid the assembled in Mexico stuff for the most part. It's Super Castlevania 4 comes to mind, but Mexico usually means it's a later Majesco print, and you want that made in Japan first print, if you care.
Is there actually a difference in the quality, or is it just people care about the print run?
That's what I've heard, is that Majesco really cheaped out on the cardboard, and it's thinner, and
Just curious, because I've never
Yeah.
really paid attention to that stuff personally.
yeah. Moving on, we have not for resale and some known not for resale games. That's cool.
I also like that they put known, like they clarify that there's no definitive list. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
Like they aren't like sticking to their guns and then someone could correct them later on. They say something, which is nice. So I like that.
Locking and open cartridges. There are two types of. Oh yeah, you got your cartridge styles. So they're just throwing in random junk in here that you as a new collector would need to know, and it's freaking. We're here for it. Let's move on into the N64 here. We've got the Banjo titles. Okay, this is an easy one to make for key titles, I think. There's only so much
Definitely.
crap that you can care about on N64.
Yeah.
You got Rareware and you got Nintendo. And let's see if there's anything that is not either of those. WWF No Mercy, Turok.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's literally it.
Yep, everything else is either first party or rare.
That's hilarious.
That's fair. That's fair though. Yeah, I would say that's probably all the key titles on there. Oh, you know what? They are missing one key title in my opinion. There's not Paper Mario on that key title list.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's surprising because I feel like Paper Mario, I mean, that's iconic and also one of the best games on the system by a long shot.
They must have like put themselves at 20 or 25 or whatever this is, and
Some
that one
sort of
just
limit.
they were like, "Come on, guys, we need two non-Nintendo, non-rare games. Come on."
You gotta have something.
um,
How
yeah,
funny.
good stuff, easy stuff there. Let's look at the rarity. This should be easy as well. Clay
Mm-hmm.
Fighter, Bomberman, and what's the other one? Super Bowling are on there.
Mm-hmm. But
Transformers, of
special
course.
edition.
Worms. I don't know about NFL Blitz.
Um, that and Goemon's Great Adventure, I think, are debatable. Uh, it's like even Rat Attack, I think, is kind of harder to come by than either of those two. At least when I was going for the set, Rat Attack gave me a lot of trouble. I didn't really have trouble with Goemon or NFL Blitz.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the special edition is.
It's just another version, so it's just a still standard cartridge, but I think there's three NFL Blitz games on there, so that's just one of the three.
Oh, it's not there's no standard edition.
No, there's no. It's not like an actual special
Okay.
edition. It's just one version of the game.
Yeah, N64 is easy. I think I'm good to move on if you are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there isn't really rare games on the N64 if we're being honest. So it's like if you want to go by the standard of the console, that's pretty good, but there just isn't really any rare N64 games.
What do we have here on the next page? We have USA codes, same thing pretty much. Looks like fiber count starts to be a thing. This is something I've only just recently learned about that could have a variance, but there's a little
Oh,
percent, like recycled percentage on the side of every box.
interesting.
WATA has a lot of these recorded on their what is it? The population reports. If anyone's interested, so you can definitely check those out.
Cool. Also, before we move on to the N64, I'm going to clarify. When I say there's no rare N64 games, so no one comes to my throat, I'm talking about loose cartridges, not complete in box. Whole
Yeah, good
different can of
point.
worms. But when I look at this and I look at the games that they have listed as rare, I assume that they're saying loose cartridges, since that's what most people go for.
Yeah, good to clarify.
Yes.
We got our list of players' choice. This is when ESRB started to get away from that, whatever you call that, and into the more modern one that we see today.
Mm-hmm. That's
List
solid
of not
black.
for resale. Very nice.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we have the GameCube. This
Here
should
we
be a
go.
good time.
Here we go. Let me judge.
All right, let's see. Animal Crossing, Eternal Darkness, Fire Emblem, F-Zero,
Best game.
Kirby, 3 Zeldas. What Zelda is missing from this? None?
Nah, just the Ocarina of Time ports in the
Okay.
collection, so...
We got the launch title that is Luigi's Mansion. We got Mario times 5 right here. We have Metroid
Hot
Prime 1 and 2. We do have Paper Mario on the GameCube, but not on the N64.
Yeah.
Only the first Pikmin. We have both Pokemons that matter. We have Resident Evil 4, which I understand the GameCube version is like a great way to play this game. Simpsons Hit and Run. That's a cool
That's
one
odd.
to see on here.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, you're right. And then Mario Sunshine. Yeah, talk to me, Craig.
The first one that came to mind missing that I find bizarre is the original Resident Evil remake. I feel like that's extremely iconic and what most people consider the best remake of all time for many, many years until we've gotten into more modern Resident Evil remakes. So I'm kind of surprised that that's not there. Looking at the rest, I feel like it's a little weird to have Pikmin and Pikmin 2 because a lot of Pikmin fans prefer 2 over 1. So you'd think that that'd kind of be considered a key title as well. I'm looking, and I feel like for the most part, in terms of what's truly kind of considered key titles are on here. Like me personally, like I would have some more of the JRPGs that are missing, like Skies of Arcadia and different things like that. But it's like Skies of Arcadia, that's really still just, most people think of that as a Dreamcast game. The Bait and Kaidos games
That's
are
true.
really cool and exclusive, but Bait and Kaidos and Lost Kingdoms and things like that are, I feel like they're too niche to be considered key titles. So I'd say for a general audience, this is a pretty good list.
Are the Lost Kingdom games good?
Uh, they're interesting. I wouldn't say that they're great, but I think that they're worth playing because they're very unique and they're both like under 5 hour games. So it's like
Oh,
you can
dang.
knock them both out over the weekend if you want. So I
You know
think
they're
that they're
from
worth
Soft?
trying. Yeah, which is really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, super super weird. If you just like having different experiences when you play games, then highly recommend. Because sometimes I don't even look for stuff that I think is fun or good. I just like to try things that are different. So, and I put Lost Kingdoms in the different category.
I don't think it's very easy to mess up key titles here. There's a ton of really strong first party Nintendo stuff on here, and
Debatably the strongest.
right.
So,
Yeah, I don't think I can think of anything that's really missing. You're missing, I guess, like Mario sports titles. I mean, Mario Strikers was a strong one.
yeah, that's fair.
Um,
And Toadstool Tour, my favorite
yeah.
golf game probably of all time. So, but it almost seems like they're kind of not including sports titles too, which might be intentional, whether they're
Mm.
kind of like spin-off ones for like mainstay series or not, because we haven't really seen any sports titles for anything yet. Maybe that'll change.
Yeah, I think WWF No Mercy was the only one.
True. And it's like, yeah, that's a sport, but I almost feel like wrestling is kind of in his own category, even away from sports. So,
We move into the rarity. I could probably guess all of these without looking. Maybe not Code Veronica X, but I still don't have that one because it sure is expensive. Um, but yeah, we got our Gotcha Force, Chibi Robo, Cubivore, Def Jam. These are, I feel like we talk about GameCube so much, these are all obvious.
and most of these
Anything
aren't
missing?
actually rare, but
Yeah, where's Bust a Move 3000, guys?
yes, I'm telling you, we are gonna ruin the price on that game. Probably the rarest GameCube game for some reason. There's almost never one for sale, and now that there are some for sale, they're like much more expensive than they used to be. So part of me wants to wonder if someone heard us and listed their copy for sale. Chibi Robo being on there is disgusting. That makes me want to throw open my mouth. Resident Evil Code Veronica and Ribbon King also not really. Def Jam, all of those I think should not be on here personally. Those four are not really that hard to find. Cubivore, fair. Go-Go Hypergrind, fair. Go-Go Hypergrind is honestly always been harder to find than Cubivore, so I kind of have found it surprising that Go-Go Hypergrind was on the rise much later on after Cubivore was, and maybe that's just because Cubivore is a more interesting game. Gotcha Force, of course, and Gotcha Force is also a great game too. Phantasy Star Online, also, I don't even think I'd put that in the top 10 rare for the system as well. Pokemon Box is the obvious one. When you think of rare games, not even just GameCube, Pokemon Box is probably one of the first things that comes to mind for people with this weird release. Disney Sports Basketball, I know I've said this before, but I don't even think that's the hardest one to find. So, if anyone else wants to try to figure out which one is harder to find, I'll let you guys figure it out. Leave a comment and tell me which one you think is the scarcest of the four of them. It's hard because GameCube, like I said, is so hard to gauge rarity, because when I think of rare GameCube games, I don't think of any of these, because when I went for the full set, so many of these games like Bust a Move, Red Card 2003, Scalar, even like things like Mystic Heroes, WTA Tennis, like that weird Rugrats racing flying game. Like all those games, like when I was going for the set, you couldn't even find them on eBay. There was maybe one or two copies at a time ever, just because nobody cared. And now it's like there's so many copies of everything available because GameCube is such a high that everything is always for sale because everyone's trying to offload and profit off of that. So it's very hard to gauge GameCube rarity. But if we go by this book's definition of traditional rarity, okay, fair list.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
um, I mean, it's just crazy to think about how much it's changed since you collected, because it really has been several years since you were going for this stuff, and
Yes, it's been about 5 years, I think, since I finished it, 4 or 5 years, and it was a whole different landscape back then. Because I mean, I don't mean to sound like a hipster, but I really was collecting GameCube before it was cool to collect, and that's how I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it now. I give you all the credit in the world because it is unaffordable now, for the most part. So it's like I'm glad I did it when I did, but the scene of GameCube collecting has really changed, and it's very interesting to see it kind of evolve because I feel like I'm like the people that went for NES early on, and now they see how crazy it's become. It's like I'm slowly getting there with GameCube, so it's fun to have that kind of different viewpoint on it all.
Disney basketball. I mean, I don't remember which sports titles I'm missing from Disney, but that game does not come up with a manual. I mean, it's like every other month or every couple of months you might see one complete, and it's like 700 to a grand. It's absurd. You can get that game for sure without the manual. There's always a few listed, but I'm having a tough time.
For some reason, it's always. I'm almost convinced that some copies just didn't come with it, because that is one that you're right. It's always been hard to find the manual for some reason. Always. And I'm looking right now, by the way. I said basketball isn't the rarest one. The Disney sports game that I think is more hard to find does has less copies available on eBay right now. So, like I said, do your homework, kids, and let me know if you figure out which one I'm talking about.
I don't even know. Maybe I need to go buy it immediately before this episode airs.
I could tell you. I'll give
Let's
you
go to page 28 here.
All right.
We got variants here. This, I would like you to tell me if you see anything missing here, but we got product codes. This is when you're able to start seeing this be a normal thing, like going forward, even with the Wii U these days. I say Wii U like it's current. We're freaking 6 years into the Switch now. Country of production and UPC. Yeah, this is good information right here. I'm highlighting for y'all, but basically that 00100 tells you a lot about the game, print run, all that. You got your player's choice. There's a list of GameCube bestseller titles here. Yeah, you've got the player's choice and a bestseller. I guess I didn't really know about that, but
yes, and I've talked to you about this off camera before. But just so everybody knows, if you're crazy like me and you want to try to find a Mario Party 6 with a bestseller badge, that kind of doesn't exist. So the bestseller badge only exists on if you have the big box version on the outer big box. There's a version of it with the bestseller badge and one without it. But the actual game, there's no version of it that has that on the actual artwork. So just something to be on the lookout for if you care about that.
That's crazy that's crazy that big box had multiple print runs. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, super bizarre. I don't think a lot of big box GameCube games, I think most of them it was only the first print. So.
And then you told me about that Resident Evil that had a freaking variant as well. Resident Evil whatever. There's 2 big boxes for that. That's super cool.
Yes, so the Pure Evil 2-pack, there's 2 different covers for it. One's just like an eyeball, and then another one is the 2 characters from Resident Evil 0. So super bizarre. It doesn't really make any sense. And also, I think that they're wrong with the number for player's choice titles. I'm pretty sure that there is more than that. So let me confirm if that's okay.
106? My gosh.
I believe that there's actually more than that. So let me see. Let me go to my disgustingly detailed GameCube variant spreadsheet that I have, that as of now is private because I'm afraid that you monsters will try to steal things from me. So I got one. Let's see. So my list is 110, but that includes all of the 2 packs for Sega, and then and then I have 2 versions of Resident Evil 0 because one has a different sized font on the spine. So 106 is correct.
Okay.
Don't ask me how I found out. Yeah, don't ask me how I found out that there was a different font size on his spine. I'm a fucking, excuse my language, I'm a lunatic.
You had the micrometer out.
I really did. One day I was like,
Um,
this looks off, and I had to like bring my own copy into a game store to check.
you ready to move into Wii?
Yes, I'm always ready for the Wii.
Let's talk key titles here. Animal Crossing again. Man, I played so much Animal Crossing. Let me just pause and say that. I love that game. Specifically on the Wii. We have Donkey Kong Country Returns. We
Hell yeah.
have Fire Emblem, 2 Kirby titles. I don't know if Epic Yarn is a key title, but alright. Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, obviously. We have Mario and Sonic. That's an interesting choice, but I'm pretty sure that sold like a lot of copies, so I
Oh my
believe
god,
it.
yeah. 100%.
Metroid Prime, Mario Party 1. I'm sorry, Mario Party 8 and 9. We have Prime Trilogy, which is just a remaster. Not even a remaster, it's just a port. So that's an interesting one. But nonetheless, I would probably consider it a key title. We have New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Pokemon Battle Revolution, and Poke Park. Those are probably only on here because they have Pokemon in the title, because I didn't know anyone playing those when I had a Wii.
Nah, man, I was all about Battle Revolution.
Oh, okay. It's just me then.
I actually played the hell out of that.
Umbrella Chronicles kind of weird, and also for them to include it in the picture is weird.
Yeah,
They have
that is weird, but that is a great game. It's just weird because I feel like I don't know anyone else that's ever played it besides me.
Is that a rail shooter?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's
I have
really
one
fun.
of the Wii Resident Evil games. We have Galaxy 1 and 2, Smash, Paper Mario, and of course, well, no, not of course, Xenoblade Chronicles. Which, yeah, I mean, given the sequels now and how successful and important that is on the Switch, that is certainly a key title.
Yeah, and that game almost didn't come out here. If anyone wants to go down a fun rabbit hole, look up Project Rainfall to learn the story about how we got Xenoblade Chronicles in America.
That does sound very interesting. I'm gonna
Yeah, it was
go
like
ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was basically a fan petition that like convinced Nintendo to release it out here because it came out here after the Wii U did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's really cool actually. Mario Party 9 I don't think should be on here. I think that's a universally disliked game. It is like the Mario Party nobody likes and nobody cares about, so it's weird for them to have it on here. I love that they put Mario and Sonic because that was such a big deal. Everyone thought it was so cool that they finally got a crossover game, even though it wasn't anything, super cool because it was an Olympics game. Kirby's Epic Yarn, I actually would disagree with you. I think that should be on here. Prime Trilogy, I think is weird. I feel like it should just be three Corruption. I think that'd make a little bit more sense.
Oh yeah, I forgot 3 was on the Wii. Yeah.
Poke Park Wii is a little weird. And then, like I said, Resident Evil, I love that game, but that seems like an odd choice to me, too. But I don't think they're really missing too many key titles.
They're
I feel
missing one, Craig.
Oh, you know what they're missing? Oh, tell me what you're going to say first, and I'll tell you what I think.
How
after.
in God's name is Wii Sports not on here?
My God, you're right. I didn't even think about
What in
that.
the world?
Or Wii Fit.
Oh, Wii Fit's definitely a key
Or
title.
Wii
I don't
Play.
care if it's $3. Yeah.
Yeah, Wii Fit, Wii Play, Wii Sports, you're right. And Wii Sports Resort 2, also excellent and weird that it's not here. You're totally right. I didn't even think about that. The one I was thinking of, probably, again, too niche, but key title in my eyes, Rhythm Heaven.
That is that published by Nintendo?
Yeah, that's first party Nintendo, so.
Okay. I haven't played that one.
Yes. I'm forgetting the name of... Oh, it's Rhythm Heaven Fever is the name of the Wii one, so... I was thinking Mega Mix, but that's the 3DS one I just played. But yeah, that should definitely be on there. If the original Rhythm Heaven on DS isn't on here when we do our second episode, I'll be absolutely shocked.
This is yeah, probably could use a little work on this Wii key title list, but
And as much as I love Fire Emblem, I don't know if Radiant Dawn is a key title. I feel like that's kind of like one of the lesser remembers Fire Emblems, so I'm kind of surprised that's on here. But it is more kind of like collectible, and Fire Emblem's kind of a staple franchise now for Nintendo, so I could see it.
I'm looking around at the shelf. I don't know if there's anything else. I mean, Wii Fit and Wii Sports both deserve to be on here.
Yeah, that's crazy. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my god. Insane.
Traditional rarity here. I don't know a lot about collecting the Wii. It looks like a little typo here, but Atrevete a Soñar, that one definitely rare, and Cyberbike definitely rare. Um, Other than that, I know Veggie World, I know Fritz Chess. That's it for me. Dokapon is up there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Dokapon, Fragile Dreams, Ju-on, Last Story, Pandora's Tower, all not actually super rare, but under their traditional rarity, that does make sense. There's a lot of really rare racing in games on the Wii, so I'm kind of surprised that they're not on here, and a lot of weird shovelware too. But I think the reason that they wouldn't put that is because nobody cares. Like, at least Cyberbike Cycling Sports is more interesting than, like, Winter Sports Remix or whatever those weird, expensive, like, double packs on the Wii are. So, under their term of traditional rarity, I think this is a good list. Yeah, Last Story and Pandora's Tower, by the way, are also part of Project Rainfall with Xenoblade Chronicles, for whoever's going to look that up after this video's done. So, yeah. But again, why is there Super Paper Mario in the Paper Mario 1000-Year Door, but then on the N64 one, no regular Paper Mario? That's just bizarre. That's super weird to me.
Is Fragile Dreams a horror game?
I actually don't know what it is. I own it. And I only bought it because the cover art was cool, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, it does not look like a horror game. It's an Xseed game.
Oh.
That's the two things on Wii for rarity. Horror
Yes,
and
definitely.
and Xseed. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool, not much to say there. We got product codes again. Same thing as GameCube Country of Production, UPC, the 5-digit code. The World Edition is a big one. No one wants the World Edition of any game they own.
Tell me, what's your beef with the World Edition?
It's just a later print, that's all.
Okay, because I always see people say they're like, oh, you don't want that, and I'm just like, who cares? I don't know. I always thought it was weird that people got, like, I've seen a lot of people get really up in arms about World Editions, and I'm like, it's still ESRB. It's still North American. I'm like, if you say it doesn't count for the set, you're just wrong. So,
well, yeah.
I always thought that was weird. I've seen people be, like, really uppity about the World Edition for some reason. And I didn't know if I was missing something. I was like, what's the beef? Y'all don't like Saudi Arabia? It's like throwing hands.
Nintendo Selects. We shifted from Player's Choice to Nintendo Selects in this era. This includes the 3DS and the Wii U. You will start to see ESRB. They shift from the black background with the black letter to the white background with the black letter still. Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
On to the Wii
fun
U.
fact.
Oh,
fun fact that they don't mention. Pikmin 2 in North America was only ever released as a Nintendo Select. There's no regular version.
Oh, so, that's interesting.
Just a fun fact. Yeah.
Huh. It's a Nintendo Selects, and it's also one of those Wii Play Control games, right?
I believe it is. Yeah.
All right, let's get into Wii U. We're 45 minutes into this video here.
Everyone's favorite console.
Yeah. Key titles. Bayonetta 2 for sure. It was an exclusive. Absolutely. Make sure you get the one that came with Bayonetta 1. That's the cool print. Captain Toad, Donkey Kong. I mean, this is obvious. Every single Nintendo title plus what else is non-Nintendo? Nothing.
It's all Nintendo. So
welcome to the Wii U, where the first
I guess Bayonetta 2
games...
technically, because they don't own Bayonetta, but other than that, it's all Nintendo all the time. So you can't really argue with this list.
Yeah. Mario Tennis better not be on there. Okay, they just have a picture of it.
The only game not on key titles that I think could be interesting if they included was Tokyo Mirage Sessions, because that was such like just a weird game that everyone was really confused about.
Yeah.
And it definitely stuck out for a lot of people. And by the way, it's a fantastic game. So
Good to know.
yes.
Yeah,
Let's see.
the Wii U, everyone knows it like struggled with third party support, but man, the first party games were killer. Splatoon is a huge one that I could see being very collectible as a sealed game down the road, as they continue to make sequels.
Yeah. Other than that, really, there's nothing too crazy on the Wii U. Uh, yeah, and all of this stuff has been ported to the Switch, so you might as well just get it on the Switch. I think the only
Unless
that
you're
or they have
collecting.
like, yeah, but I don't know. Playing on the Wii U Gamepad is also like playing with a Fisher Price toy, so I try not to use my Wii U.
Traditional rarity here. Axiom Verge was like one of the last games. Is that a limited print game? Is that like a
Yeah,
limited run?
yes, that was limited run. It's the only Wii U game that they ever did. So,
That's very strange to see in here. So Shakedown Hawaii is one of those, isn't it?
Shakedown Hawaii was from, I think it was the actual people who made the game, made the physical copies and distributed them themselves.
Book of Unwritten Tales. I remember hearing that was kind of rare.
Oh my god, it's disgusting. Like, people think Devil's Third is rare. Book of Unwritten Tales is disgustingly rare.
Oh wow.
Same with Cabela's, right under Cabela's Big Game Hunter. That was the hardest game for me to find on Wii U. The hardest, by far.
Wow. These are like a lot of these have chilled. Like the Crudes, last time I checked, dropped dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Turbo was another one. It might still be up high, but it's hard to call a set with 160 games like have any rare games. But yeah, these I guess would be the ones that have been hyped up in the last 10 years or whatever.
Yeah. Steam World Collection definitely seems weird to me, but it's funny because here's just a hot tip for anyone collecting Wii U. Just don't spend a lot of money, because all of these games ebb and flow so much. Like, for a long time, Turbo was like a $300 game, and then it dropped down to like $40 for like a year and a half, and then it started to go back up again. So it's like, I think people just go through phases where they either care or don't, and then people realize how much money they're spending on shovelware for the Wii U, and then they don't want to spend it anymore. And it's like, another great example is that Hello Kitty racing game. That was the rare Wii U game for the first like 6 or 7 years of the Wii U's existence, and now it's like I think like maybe at most a $30 game.
Didn't even make the
And
cut.
No, exactly, it didn't make the cut on this list, and it used to be like a $300 game. So it's like, if you want to collect for Wii U, just be patient. The only thing that's not going to move is Devil's Third. That's always going to be expensive because that's basically the Wii U's Clay Fighter. But even that, it's not rare. It got its second print run.
That was a great analogy.
So it's like, it's always going to be the big boy, but it's never actually going to be hard to find. So if you want to collect Wii U, just be patient. You'll find it all for pretty cheap if you take your time.
You think Star Fox should be a key title?
I mean, it's significant for how bad it is.
I don't
So
think
I
it is a
guess
key title.
I don't know. I mean, it's just as much of a key title to the system as, let's say, Pokken Tournament is, honestly, in my opinion. I feel like more people will think of Star Fox before they think of Pokken Tournament.
I think there's probably a few more Nintendo first party games that didn't make the cut. You got your Amiibo Festival. Everybody loved that game.
True, but that was just digital, wasn't it?
No, that one has like a full on big box and everything. With an
You're
Amiibo.
lying. I don't believe you. I've never heard of that. No way.
No, you're just been out. You're just tired. That is a
Amiibo.
super common game.
Oh, you talking about Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
You didn't say that. You just said Amiibo Festival. I was thinking because there was that digital only thing on the Wii U where you tap an Amiibo and it would give you a demo for an eShop game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. That's why I was confused. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Amiibo Festival should be on there because it's famously, it was famously cheap. You could get it for like $5 brand new for years with the Amiibos.
Yeah, and right next to it on the same GameStop clearance shelf was Star Fox.
You know what's amazing? I went to GameStop recently for some godforsaken reason, who knows why, and they literally have taken out the Amiibos from Amiibo Festival, and now they just sell them separately in like this own little box that they've made, and they sell it for more than they ever sold Amiibo Festival for. It's so funny. It's like they're like, we have to get rid of this somehow.
That's amazing.
It's been sitting in our store for 10 years.
Super Mario Maker was like a random, really cool idea from Nintendo, and I think that's a good one to mention here. And it came with a big box, so very cool.
Yeah, Super Mario Maker is great. It sucks because the Switch version, it's just not as easy to make the levels on there, but it's like it's the system that everyone would rather play on, so it's a shame they didn't have some way to like connect two Switches together to like use one as like a gamepad almost.
Let's move on here.
All right.
Same thing as Wii and similar to GameCube. What we don't have a whole lot on the Wii of is these multicolored cases. You do have to worry about like case swaps, I guess. You know, there's a lot of times. I honestly, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm experienced in it, but like I don't know which print run came with a red case versus a blue case. I know that changes from time to time.
Yeah, because they definitely had multiple, like Mario Kart 8 and Super Mario 3D World came with both, and stuff like that. So some of them definitely had multiple print runs with different color cases.
The Wii U Nintendo Selects, they're missing Just Dance here. You're welcome, everyone. I think it's 2015. It's the only...
Saving the world, one Wii U variant at a time.
ESRB rating logo. What's the variant there?
At least 2 ESRB rating logo variants for the Wii U. The black ESRB rating logo and the white one. Usually the game features both. Case color variant, yada yada. Interesting. Huh.
Interesting.
There's something to look out for.
Yeah, I would have thought that would have stopped on Wii. It's interesting that it kept it going onto Wii U.
Nintendo defies the odds, for better or for worse.
Let's wrap this up with the Switch here. You'll notice there are no rare games for good reason. That's going to be a nightmare to tackle, but it's something you can't really do until later on into the, when the system's done. All right, let's be as subjective as possible here. Animal Crossing, one of the best-selling games on the console, no doubt about it.
The best-selling games of all time.
Yeah. We have Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'm sure it sold a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hyrule Warriors. I don't know if that's a key title. I think it's a spin-off that only like a small portion of Zelda players care about.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I wouldn't put that there either, personally. I don't know. It just seems like an odd choice for me. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't put that one either. Kirby in the Forgotten Land, definitely, though.
Forgotten Land was so good. Star Allies was not good.
It's not. So what's your beef with Star Allies? I don't know why people give that game hate. It's like any other Kirby game. Like, yeah, it's generic Kirby, I guess, but it's still Kirby. It's still fun.
You're 100% right in saying that it's just like every other Kirby game because it's short and it's easy. I guess my beef with it is that I spent $60 on it and I got like $20 worth of gameplay out of it.
That's totally fair. Yeah, you could beat it in like one sitting. So.
Yeah. It was a very well put together game though.
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild, obviously. Hang on. Was that on Wii U?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they had it on there too. Which is fair. Last Wii U game, kind of. Not really, but...
We have a remake here, Link's Awakening. I don't think it's called DX, but we're not going to fault them for that.
I am. Sucks. It's the worst guide ever.
Luigi's Mansion 3, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Metroid Dread, the return of 2D Metroid. We have Monster Hunter Rise. That was a Switch exclusive. You might be able to remove that because it's no longer a Switch exclusive. New Pokemon Snap, pretty much a letdown. That game was not as big of a deal as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, I think people were nostalgic for Pokemon Snap, and then they realized Pokemon Snap's never been that great. So.
I think there's enough Pokemon on here and that is still coming out that we don't need to see new Pokemon Snap as a key title.
No. Well, there's 7 other Pokemon games on this list, spoiler alert, so...
We have
Jeez.
Paper Mario, the Origami King. That seems incorrect. Just that's not me saying it's a bad game. That's me saying everyone hates this game. So I don't know. Bunch of Pokemon. Splatoon 2, 3 would make the cut as well, I'm sure. 3 is probably a more important title because like 2 was like copy and paste.
Mm-hmm.
We got Mario Maker, we got Mario Odyssey, we got Mario Party, and we have Smash. Anything else that is released that is a key title?
Well, first of all, just to go back to Wii U, because I just noticed Paper Mario Color Splash wasn't on the key titles for Wii U. That's kind of weird. I just thought about that when I saw Origami King.
You know what I just thought about? If we were to have another non-Nintendo title, Rayman Legends was supposed to be a Wii U exclusive. That would be a really good key title.
Oh, yeah.
And it really
You're right.
made great use of the gamepad.
Yes. And, wait, is Zombie U on there, too? Let me see.
Uh-uh.
No Zombie U. Weird. Okay. They just said F Ubisoft games and their support for Wii U, I guess. So, for key titles on Switch, I'd say this is a very good list. I think this list was made before Bayonetta 3, otherwise I would say that should be on there too, because I feel like that was, a very long in development, long-awaited, hyped-up Switch game. Some people were disappointed by it. I still thought it was pretty good. Nothing beats the second one, but the third one's still very good. Astral Chain, I think, is a really good key title for the Switch that's kind of slept on. I love Astral Chain. Super, super underrated.
I don't think it can be a key title if it's also slept on.
I guess that's fair. But I feel like amongst the Nintendo hardcores that did go out and buy it, they all agree that it's really good.
I liked it.
Yes, it was very good. Trying to think.
There's no Let's Go.
Like that's true. And I actually really enjoyed those games. I thought that I kind of enjoyed how casual they were because it was easy to just kind of breeze through and enjoy it. I don't know. I feel like there is something else missing. Like, Shin Megami Tensei 5 I think should definitely be on here.
Did that just come out?
That came out, I think it was 2021 actually. But Shin Megami Tensei 5 was announced when the Switch was announced. Was kind of that was considered a selling point. And not only that, Shin Megami Tensei is like one of the most underrated series in gaming in terms of its influence on everything. Like, we wouldn't have Pokemon if it wasn't for Shin Megami Tensei. Shin Megami Tensei is what created the monster collecting genre. So, for that to be a Switch exclusive and for it to be so integrated into kind of the history of the Switch, I feel like that should definitely be on there.
Was that an exclusive?
Yes, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is exclusive.
Yeah, I could probably agree with that.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's really anything on here that I don't think should be here, except for maybe Age of Calamity. For the most part, I think everything else is pretty fair to put on here. Maybe not Super Mario Party either. Like, maybe switch that out with Mario Party Superstars or whatever the more recent one is. But yeah, not too bad.
Then you got your variants, the same as we've been seeing, and then you get into the handheld stuff, which we're not going to cover today, but...
Nope. Close your eyes. I hope you didn't turn the page. Blur it out.
Yeah, don't even think about going past page 39 before the next video drops, guys.
Yeah. You have to wait for Dad and Dad before you get to that.
Anything else you want to add, Craig? I freaking love this, and if I could, have a physical copy of this book, I would love to.
Yes, if they ever print a physical copy, I'd love to have it just as a fun little coffee table book or whatever. I think that it's really well put together. I think for the most part, you and I agree with most of all this stuff, key titles, the traditional rarity, all that. That's, of course, always going to be a little bit to personal taste, so we're never going to agree with all that. But I think for the most part, we agree with most of their picks for things.
Yeah.
And I think they do a good job of going in depth, especially if you're someone that's brand new to collecting video games. Like, you're like, hey, I'm so and so. I'm 15 years old, but I want to try to look into the Super Nintendo, and I want to collect for the Super Nintendo because I care about game history. I think this is a great place where you can kind of get started on that.
And this being CGC is obviously geared towards the graded games collectors and sellers, and that is like it doesn't really matter. Like I think that we are, as people that collect CIB or whatever, like whoever's listening to this, whatever you collect is fine with us. But if you are a CIB collector, they're not really here for you. But regardless, we are benefiting immensely from this. And we talked about standardgaming.com last episode. They are starting to roll out their variant guides. WATA is doing variant guides. Like, CIB collectors are eating well right now, variant collectors.
For a long time, we felt like we were alone out there, starving and cold in the world, because if we wanted this information, we'd have to scour message boards from 2002 to see if anyone else has ever seen this variant of whatever game. And now there's these big name websites and big name companies that are hiring people to do the extensive research with the materials and kind of the ability to have access to things that we don't, and provide that information to the world, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
Cool. Well, that's an hour-long episode for you guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Never say we don't do nothing for you.
Yeah, please join the Discord. Come hang out and talk about variants and drop comments. We'll probably do one more of these CGC reference guide videos and then call it quits. But
yeah, what we were thinking is we'll probably next time do Nintendo handhelds and Sega stuff. This guide also goes over PlayStation, Microsoft, and older stuff like Atari and ColecoVision and all that. If you guys want that, of course, let us know. But
please do.
Otherwise, we'll probably just stick with Game Boy and Sega. So,
looking forward to it. Craig, thank you so much for hanging out this evening, man.
Of course, thank you.